Hi everyone, it's Becky here from Ivy's Corner. I'm going to be doing some drawing with you today, stepping out a couple of classic tangles to show you how to do them. We're going to start off with a tangle called Rain, which is a really nice one. It's a lovely one for beginners. It's a drama tangle comprising of some straight lines, a bit of inking in, and it's a really lovely one, so let's get started. With this tangle, we're going to start off by drawing nice and easy, a nice straight line. Little curve on there just to give it a bit of movement. And then once we've done our straight line, I'm going to take, starting from the end here, we're going to draw a zigzag across that line. Now we can make the zigzag big, we can make it small, depending on the space we're trying to fill. So I'm going to do a little bit of variety here. Zigzagging across that line. Nice and slow, coming to join at the end there. Then we're going to ink this in. So just taking our time, popping our ink down. I'm using some lovely tan bijou tiles today. I love a nice Renaissance colour tan tile because it gives us some nice opportunity for shade and highlights and some lovely contrast. So we're just taking our time, filling in these spaces. And then I'm going to add a little bit of extra love to that as well in a minute. Nice and slow. I'm using a PN micron here, which is nice. It's got a plastic nib, but it's got a nice variety of line width dependent on how hard you press, so you can have a nice light touch and a very fine line, but you can kind of use more of the sort of side of the pen and get a bit more inking in, a bit of thickness. So that's our first one. We can aura around the outside of this. I think I'm just going to do sort of like a half aura. So just add some little lines in here, just to give it a little bit of definition. I'm going to drag off the end there, nice light touch on my line to make it sort of fade away. And there we go, that's the first one of Rain. I'm going to do another one. I'm going to start down here and add a little curve. So I'm going to start doing a couple of little ones and then maybe a couple of big ones coming to an end. I'll fill that in again. It's nice to have some time to spend inking or at least something in your tile to ink in, because it gives it a little bit of drama. This is a beginner's one, but it's also quite a nice drama tangle. Lots of ink, lots of standout kind of feels to it. I actually have this one tattooed on my ribs, which was interesting when they were filling in the black ink, but it looks really effective. Here we go. Just tidying up that end there, and now I'm going to add my little lines in the middle. So taking it nice and slow, and then I'm going to give a little flick at the end. I'm going to do one more of these little rain vines over here. So I'll bring it here and round. And I'm going to come just along here with my straight lines. I'm turning my tile to make it easy for me so that my hand is nice and relaxed. Long one at the end there with a little one to finish. And then, just like we did before, I'm going to ink these in. What I'm hoping to do with these little mini step out videos is to get a little collection of them together for you every so often, and then put all of them together picking a tile, so I'm not going to plan it as such. I'm just going to pick a bunch of tangles and then record myself popping those tangles together in one big tile, or just a regular tile bigger than a bijou, and we'll see together how they come out. Filling these in, and always with Zentangle, just taking our time and enjoying the process of seeing that ink appear on our tile. Lovely deep black ink. There we go. And now I'm just going to add my little auras either side. You could do it all one side if that feels better for you, and then go back and do the other side. Little flick there. It's just what I like to do. You can, of course, as I said, aura all the way around the shape too. That's another option. So there we go. That is my little rain tangle. So I'm just capping my pen, and I'm going to pick up my lovely Zentangle pencil. And I think what I'm going to do to shade this one, because it's a drama tangle, there's so much ink on here, it's quite bold. Sometimes when you look at these tangles, you think, how am I going to shade this? What am I going to do? And one of the things that I quite like to do with this one is just to, as always with the pencil, I'm holding it in the sort of the palm of my hand almost horizontally to the table. I'm going to shade just along the lines here, just a little bit of graphite along each of these little lines. Just a touch, because we don't need masses and masses. And I'm going to turn my tile, always keeping the point of the pencil coming towards where I want to be most precise. So along this line here, I don't really want to take it over the line, because it's nice to have a little bit of separation between the graphite and the ink. So adding that in, a little bit here, and then I'll turn my tile and do the other side. I think as well, because this has like almost like a plant sort of feel, like I can imagine on a tile, and I have drawn on a tile, it kind of winding its way through a tile, across a tile, to kind of create a bit of a border almost. This probably would be one that I'd draw first in a tile to kind of get on top and then draw other things behind. But because it does look like a little bit like a plant, I'm just going to add a little bit more graphite down here. So I'm giving the illusion that it's kind of growing out from here. I'm going to grab my tortillon. Here it is, my paper stump blending stick. Again, holding it like this with the palm of my hand horizontally, and I'm going to blend in towards that graphite, just nice and gently pulling that graphite out, pushing it into the paper where I want it to be dark, and then just very gently moving it out to blend that line so it's nice and soft. Like so. I'll do all of this side first, I think. The tan paper is different to the regular white Zentangle tiles. It's slightly softer, so just be aware of that if you do draw on a tan colour. But yeah, the tan does have a nice feel to it, and it does allow you the opportunity to change up a little bit if you'll try out some highlights. If you're not used to using, I quite like how we've got that little bit of kind of light colour just there next to those lines we've drawn. It looks quite effective. I'm going to do this side again. So just gently pushing that graphite into the paper, and then just blending out very gently. So it's almost kind of quite subtle, really. There we go, and now I'm going to do the other side. And then I'm going to do the base at the end, I think. There's not really any particular rules to this, has, there's rules to Zentangle, rules, but they're there to be broken. And this sort of thing you can kind of just play by ear, see what takes your fancy really. Do this side here. Just moving that graphite out. Already looks pretty effective, hey? Going to do the base. So just gently blending that graphite into the base of our little leafy plant, if you will. You'll notice I'm not really putting the graphite on top of the ink because it will make it look less black. Okay, so I think what I might do is just come back in with a little bit more graphite, just on a couple of spots to make it a little bit darker. Probably on this side here, on the kind of I'm sort of envisaging this as being the top here. Generally there's no light source when you're shading Zentangle, you don't need to worry about the light source, but it does look quite effective if you kind of have a one side that's darker and one that's lighter, I think. I'm just going to go back in quickly, just blend that additional graphite that I've added in. Didn't really plan what this was going to look like or how it was going to go, so it's one of my favourite things about Zentangle, is that you can sit down to draw and be surprised at the end of it with what you've produced. There we go. So that's my graphite. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of white chalk. Now I was having a think about where I might want to do that, and actually because we've got these white or spaces in between the dark black and the graphite, I think I'm going to add just a little bit of white chalk in there, because having very dark against very light is quite, it really increases the contrast. You can really see the difference between those dark colours and the light. So nice sharp chalk helps here. I think that looks pretty cool. Just trying to be careful not to go over my pen lines with this, because it can, I just did it there, it can just dull the black, but doesn't really matter. There we go, and then we'll do this one over here, just a little touch of white, doesn't have to be a lot really. You could also use a white jelly roll to do the same thing, which actually might be a little bit more precise than using a chalk pencil, especially if you use a finer jelly roll. I haven't got one to hand, but it might be something I try when I do the larger tile. There we go. I might just give a very slight blend. I have a different tortillon that I've labelled white so that I can see, just to smooth it very gently. A little bit here and there, and I think that's pretty much all I'm going to do to this one. So there you go, that's rain. Hope you enjoyed it.